Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 176 for the Seezus Show. We're back with another fun-filled episode. Hope you guys enjoyed the previous episode, which was 175, where Carl Conyers, myself, and I, who is myself, we talked about a couple things, man. NFL free agency. So hopefully my Bills are in a better place moving forward. We'll see what happens with the draft. Jason Tatum returning, Bam going for 83 points, the state of the Detroit Pistons, seeing if the Spurs can go all the way, Shea making history, a couple injuries, and much, much more. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. And we took a week off, but we got some good content to kind of talk about in regards to the NBA. Obviously, we're towards that last stretch. And these games matter now more than ever, especially those seeds outside of the top two seeds on each side. So it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy. A lot of things that can happen between between now and April time. So looking forward to it. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna introduce the co-host, the legend, the myth, the GOAT, Detroit's finest. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for Carl Conyers.
What's up, my dog? How's
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
it going? Hanging in there, man. I think there's like some teams only have like 10 games left until we get to the playoffs. So like we really almost there.
Really almost there, man. It's a good time. It's a good time. Obviously, NCAA going on right now as well too. Uh, I went to VCU, so I actually only I expected us to beat UNC. Like that was in my bracket, and then after that, I expected us to lose. So uh, nothing's changed since I've been there. I think it wasn't. I think a year or two before I got there, that's when we had that little whole Shaka era doing Final Four and whatnot. But growing up, my team was Duke, so I'm rocking with them until the wheels fall off. So hopefully Duke can take care of it. Houston's still in it, right?
Yes, sir.
They're gonna. I think they're gonna make a pretty deep run as well too. I expect them to be in at least the Elite Eight. So y'all got a good program, honestly, real good program.
It's crazy. It sucks. Like when I was there, when I was going to school there, we were good for football. And
Uh,
then we were like really good. And then we got really bad. And so like there was a period of time where we just weren't good at anything. And then like literally like my last year or two is when the basketball program started taking off. So I didn't really get to enjoy it as much like being there, but it has been cool as like an alum to be able to support them. And they've been, yeah, going crazy the last 3 years.
yeah, y'all got a tough one, man. I played Illinois, who's a third seed,
Fuck them.
26-8. But y'all favored it by 3.5 points. So y'all better lock in, man. Y'all better lock in. And then Duke got St. John's. That's gonna be a tough one. Duke's been thugging it out. Well, first game was kind of, you know, a battle tested type of situation. That's one of the beauties of college basketball, right? It's like it's one and done, son. So like even though you're on paper, you're the better team. If you're not really familiar with their style of play, you don't seem like that, then anybody can go ahead and get you. And I feel like, especially in college basketball, and I've been seeing a lot of teams running a lot of zone as well too, and they don't really utilize that as much in at least within their conference play regular season. So Duke struggled a bit, but got to it. Second game, I was a little nervous, but in the second half, they turned that switch on. But I think they're gonna go far, man. I like what I'm seeing from Duke. I like what I'm seeing from Houston. I like what I'm seeing from Michigan. Um, those are probably like my three teams right there. I can see winning it all. But
Michigan too. That's what's crazy is this year. It's like I'm from Detroit, so like University of Michigan was my team growing up, and then I went to school in
fire.
Houston. So both my teams is going crazy right now.
Yeah, yeah. So, it could be a win-win for you either way, you know what I'm saying? But let's pivot to the NBA, man. The other night, Victor Wembanyama stated his MVP case, and obviously, this year, there's been a good amount of players that we've kind of talked about that have been in the mix. Wemby, Anthony Edwards, Cade Cunningham, Shea, Joker, Jalen Brown, to name a few as well too. So this has been a pretty interesting run. But he basically came out, and after his win, the reporter essentially asked him like, "Hey, like if you had to give your criteria of why you think you'd be MVP, Go ahead, use this platform and state it now. And essentially, he said he's one of the most, he's, if not, he is the most dominant defensive presence in the league. And 50% of what goes on basketball is playing defense. And he feels like defense is kind of undervalued. We kind of get enamored with all these stats from the offensive end and efficiency standpoint. He also highlighted that we're assuming Shea is number one in the MVP race. And when we had our head to head matchups, we smacked y'all niggas. You know what I'm saying? We smacked y'all niggas 3 out of 4 times. And within those three wins, y'all were fully healthy. We was fully healthy. Other one, obviously, rotational pieces. And he also said too, it's scoring like scoring isn't necessarily everything. There's different ways to impact the game offensively. So I heard what he said, and obviously he's been getting a lot of buzz as well too. But my thoughts, well, I don't even want to hear my thoughts right now. I want to hear your thoughts. What are your thoughts on him stating an MVP case, and does he actually have a legitimate chance, or is it a foregone conclusion is going to Shea?
I mean, I think he has a chance. I do think that it's probably Shea. I don't know if there's a lot he can do to make up the ground, but I don't want to say that it's like, completely impossible. But I like when stars are honest. I do think there's a difference of like, being super arrogant and being
Yeah,
honest. And so like that's what I feel like. This wasn't necessarily arrogance. This was just like I think I'm that nigga. And that's also what a lot of the great players, most of the great players, like you hear LeBron came out and said it, Jordan, like all of them is like I'm that dude. So I like him saying it, especially I've been watching a lot of the talking heads since he made these comments.
yeah.
And people, it's so weird to me. I'm hearing most of the people are saying like, we've never heard a player do this before. And I'm like, Joel Embiid literally just did this 4 years ago. Joel Embiid literally was just everywhere he could go, he was saying like, y'all should let me win MVP. Like, like he was really trying to, and then they gave him that pity MVP. And then now we were dealing with the repercussions because that's when they implemented that whole 65 game rules because so he wouldn't win it again, basically. But yeah, I just wanted to say that of like, I don't think this is super unprecedented to see somebody saying this, to try to, campaigning for themselves to win MVP. And the last time someone did it, they gave him MVP. Um, but I think, I also don't like, I like that he said something about the scoring, and I don't like I'm seeing a lot of pundits talk about the scoring where it's like, uh, what's something that he can't do? Well, score 30 points consistently. Why does he need to?
Exactly.
We've been seeing plenty of guys win MVP, Tim Duncan, and the Steph Curry when he won MVP, Steve Nash, a lot of other people. Like the game of basketball is more than just offense, and it's weird that I have to say that,
Yeah.
but it's also weird because it's like it's not like he's averaging like 15 points. He's averaging 24. So he's very close to 30. But also you guys are going to be, I think they said the first team in league history to have like 7 or 8 guys average double figures in points. So that's literally that would be impossible if you were scoring 30 points a game, but like that is one of the things that makes the Spurs so good is that they not only do they have so many guys who are capable of getting it, they allow them to get those buckets consistently. They allow them to get those shots and to have that freedom. And that comes with having a star that buys into the system. And that's honestly very similar to compare it to Steph when he won his first MVP at 24 points a game, was they were in a system where everybody got the ball. It's on everybody. And like I don't have to, which I think it'll become the case later in his career once he starts making a lot of money and once he has someone else on his team making a lot of money, that they won't be able to have as many good rotational players and he probably will have to score more. And that's what happened to Steph. Like once they really started to be on, that's when he had to average 30 because they didn't have as deep of a bench anymore. But right now y'all do. So why would I need to go out there and force shots every night when I know I have my team that can back me up and all of these guys can score? And on top of that, that is you would want when you have a player as dominant defensively as him, you
Mhm.
want him to have to do at least as much as possible on the offensive end because now he can save all that energy for defense. Like we literally saw with Kawhi, like when he had to start being the offensive hub, his defense wasn't as strong. Like, and that it's not a knock to him. You only have so much energy that you can exert during a game. So when Tim Duncan was still there and all those other guys and he was able to average 15 points a game, I can go crazy on defense. But when now you need me to go get 30 on the other end, I'm still a good defender, but I can't lock down every position and then go down and, especially on a consistent basis. So I think that he's all the things that he does are great. Clearly, you can see his and Wemby is one of those players where I feel like if you're saying some of these things I've been seeing people say, it's like you're just looking at stats because you're not watching these games and seeing the impact that he has on these games. He doesn't need to be out there scoring 30 a night to be the decider for a game, offensively and defensively. Um, he also just has a gravity out there. So I mean, I think that he absolutely has a strong MVP case. I don't know if it's going to be strong enough this year, but I do think that this year is going to be one of those of like now going into next year, he's probably going to be top three going into the start of the season on guys who we think is going to win the MVP.
Yeah, I think the only way he can probably get it is if God so be, maybe San Antonio catches OKC and gets the number one seed. I mean, right now they're 3 games behind. I think OKC has a couple of strong outings left, but I think the voters kind of have it um, on shake right now as well too. But like you said, I wouldn't be mad. I like both players. Obviously, my team's San Antonio, but I guess we'll see what happens. But like you said, he's averaging 24 points per game, 11 rebounds, 3 blocks, shooting as a big who's 7'4", 36% from three through these 55 games. So he still also has to play 10 more games to even be considered for it, which is crazy. And yeah, he's been dominating, man. He's been dominating against the Western Conference. The Spurs have a 69% win percentage, and against the Eastern Conference, an 85% win percentage as well too. So yeah, it'll be interesting because I think what they released because for a moment, which was kind of corny, they had the little NBA awards show, and we would have to wait till after the finals to see who was a regular season MVP. I think now what they do it towards like the conference finals. So they're 1 and 2, and who knows if they meet up, that would mean a lot. If they're both there and they give one person the award, they'll have another twist to it as well. But like you said, I like him stating his case in a non-cocky but confident way. And we kind of need to get back to that as well too. You know what I'm saying? He's so mature for his age. And he definitely got a little target on the Spurs right now because OKC, they're like, oh, okay, we'll see you again in the
Yeah,
playoffs. Hopefully, we're gonna be
because
ready. We're
I
gonna be
will
ready.
say the regular season shit don't mean
Don't mean a
nothing. Like,
damn thing, bro.
because
Don't mean
I
nothing.
I feel like this will always be the main example that I go to, but I remember those Raptors swept the Heat in the regular season. So it was like, oh, okay, bet. And I think it was another team like Brooklyn one of these other years also. I think this might have been when Brian was on the Cavs, but beat them in the regular season series too. And then it came to the playoffs and it was like, oh no, this is a different game. This is when shit really matters. And so it's great to have those regular season wins. Like I'm not gonna say that's nothing, but the playoffs are a different case. So just really got to
Yeah.
see once we get there.
Nah, yeah, and because as a coach, you're like, I'm not gonna take out all of my bag of tricks, you know what I'm saying? So the only thing I can kind of be encouraged about is kind of what you harped on. We've never seen a player like him before. So I think that can give us an advantage. And how you talked about our depth, how you said this is gonna be a record year with how many players on our roster scored at least a minimum of 10 points per game. Because you need depth, you need a superstar. We have a clutch player in Fox, and our defense. I feel like defense is always going to be translated into the playoffs as well too. But the experience is going to be one thing that's kind of making me a little nervous. On top of our head coach, his first year in the playoffs as a head coach, so that's going to be pretty interesting. But what I've been impressed by is being such a young team, how we've played during the clutch. So I think that's another thing that we can kind of take away from it. But as far as individual matchups, all that gets thrown out the door. So it's going to be a good playoffs this year, man. Flipping over from the West and going to the East, Carl Conyers. Obviously, your boy K Cunningham, and the Pistons. Well, Pistons fans in general, y'all obviously all had to take a deep breath because K Cunningham currently can't. Um, Obviously, the news we were off for a bit, but we did have news of his collapsed lung. And the entire city of Detroit, essentially, no pun intended, holding their breath. But despite losing Cade Cunningham, you guys have extended your winning streak to 4 games, and low key seems like you guys solidified, at least for now, hold on to that number one seed. I ain't gonna lie, I thought you guys was gonna kind of crumble, but obviously the wins are wins, right? Because we were talking about that a couple weeks ago, but y'all beat the Washington Wizards twice. You beat the Warriors. I think the most encouraging one was the win against the Lakers. So I got to give y'all props to that, man. But we didn't really get to talk about the Cade Cunningham situation. The only person that's kind of had that collapsed lung in recent memory is probably CJ McCollum on two separate occasions a couple of years back. But what are your thoughts on that situation and your state of mind with the Detroit Pistons?
I mean, that shit sucks. That was like the most devastating. I have a couple of group chats with my friends back home, and it was just crazy. It's one of those, if you feel like you can't have anything nice. But I do think that we're gonna hold on to the one seed just looking at how many games are remaining. And I don't think that Boston is gonna be able, I don't think that we're gonna play poorly enough because I think we're like 5 games up on them right now. And so I just don't think, yeah, we're 5 games ahead of them right now.
Yep.
So I don't think we're going to be ass, the rest of the way. And we have, this is what people forget, is earlier in the season when we were really establishing ourselves as the best team in the East and winning a lot of games, Cade missed a decent amount of time.
I think y'all like
The
8-2
whole
without him or some shit.
Yeah, and the guy who just dropped 30 on the Lakers, Dennis Jenkins, was a big part of that. And it's so weird. He's showing to be one of those guys like when he doesn't get a good amount of PT, he's been literally awful, like really, really bad. But earlier in the season, he won Player of the Week, I'm pretty sure, during that stretch when Cade was out. So we know that he can step up to the occasion if we need him to really fill in and just drop 30 against them. And he had like 22 a couple of nights ago, and he's been playing pretty well. So I'm not despondent about our chances of maintaining that one seed and kind of finishing out the season at a decent pace. But it's more so just like, what does this mean for us in the playoffs? And that's kind of what has me scared. Like they're saying that he might be able to come back for round one. But then also it's like, is he going to be in what type of shape and how is it going to look? So I will say, like, we definitely talked earlier that they probably weren't going to be able to win this ship this year anyway with the lack of roster moves. And it seems like they're kind of treating this year the same way that OKC did the year before they won the championship of like, we have this nice young core. We're just going to play this out. We're going to have money this summer. We're going to do all that stuff. And then that's when OKC went and got Hartenstein and went and got Caruso and then ended up winning the ship. So it kind of felt like this year might not have led to anything anyway. So maybe, we can just take all this momentum and hopefully make some good moves in the offseason to come back next year and be a lot stronger. But it sucks. I at least want to be able to see peak Cade playing in the playoffs. It's a fun experience. We took the Knicks to 7 games last year. Everyone was like, oh, wow, he can really hoop. And I think the thing that sucks the most for me is just like he's probably going to miss out on these all NBA teams, which is just it's just really bad. And I think it's a really bad look for the league. To the point where I saw literally the NBA Players Association came out today and was like, it would be crazy that if Cade Cunningham weren't going to make an All NBA team, they're like Adam Silver basically needs to make some type of exception, which I don't think is going to happen. But I do think that there will be a lot of pushback on that this offseason, and I hope that it does get removed because it's funny. Everyone on the internet, has opinions, and I've seen a lot of people their stance on because this is, star players have been getting injured a lot this year, and not like devastating injuries, but injuries that keep you out for 10 games, and then now all of a sudden you're in danger of not meeting the criteria. So it's a lot of the rhetoric, they've been talking about this year, and almost every time without fail, I see someone under there. It's like, well, I don't think that's so crazy. Like if you only show up for 70% of your job, you're not going to get your full pay or like other comparing it to that. And I'm like, yo, if I get injured on the job, they have to pay me in real life. You know, like if I get injured on the job, I'm not worried about missing out on anything. So it is really crazy for them to in the NBA to be like, you got injured on the job and now you're not eligible for the shit at the end of the year because we said you need to make, like I feel like this rule wasn't for freak injuries. This rule was for, again, like for guys like Joel Embiid, where you're just always injured, your body is fucked up, or like guys like Kawhi, where it's like you're taking a lot of time off and stuff like that. But to penalize someone for something like a dude landed on my lungs. What say did I have in that? Like this wasn't something that is yeah. So I think that it's the rule is just really crazy. I think we're at a point now where it's clear that it's penalizing people for like things that they have no control over. Which I'm not saying that Joel Embiid has any control over, but you at least know like his body is what it is versus other guys who it's like normally they're healthy, but it same like, when Russell Westbrook got his meniscus torn by Pat Bev. If and granted that was in the playoffs, but say that happened in the regular season, now I'm about to miss out on awards because a dude dove in my leg, So it's just like I feel like for reasons like that, it's just really stupid. It's gonna be really shitty because Cade was probably gonna make first team All NBA.
Absolutely, no question.
Yeah, so it's really shitty that he's gonna fall like 3 games. I think it's only like 3 or 4 games shy of it.
Oh, so if you miss 3 or 4 more, he's cooked. That sucks. Yeah, man, they definitely going. I feel like we've already kind of been talking about it, especially like during the heat of it when Joker was missing time. When Shea had like an oblique strain or something like that, missing time. Wemby actually missed a little bit of time. So we were always talking about it, how like, yeah, we might have one of the nastiest like top three, I mean, all NBA teams, you know what I'm saying? So I think K getting hurt is definitely going to make Adam Silver and that committee definitely shake some things up. I think they're just gonna go away from games in general and just be like, yo, like clearly niggas want to play. Obviously, you got people who are more susceptible to get hurt than others, but no one who really truly loves basketball is trying to take any time off. Like that's just the competitive spirit you've had since you was a kid. So go ahead and use the eye test and see actually what these injuries were, and then let's just make the vote based on that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't think they're going to make an exception for him, which kind of sucks, but this will definitely be a talking point, which changes the trajectory of how awards are going to be handled moving forward as well. And then my last thing I kind of want to ask you, let's play devil's advocate. Let's say he kind of arrives a little late in the first round, and the way the seasons are set right now, you guys will be scheduled to play the Orlando Magic. Do you think you guys have a chance to compete against the Orlando Magic and beat them without him, or if he comes late?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how late he comes. If he misses like a
What if it's like,
game,
what if y'all down like, what if y'all like is 1-1? Like y'all get like the first home game and then
oh yeah,
or that
one
down
one
2-1 or some shit like that. You got confidence?
1-1 is 0-0, so 100%.
Mhm.
Um, Now if Cade misses the first 3 games
Yeah, what
of
if
the
it's like that? Y'all
series,
down, y'all get the first home game off of just being in the playoffs, hosting the playoff game. It's been years. Y'all win the first game and then lose the next two, and then he's available game four. How you feel? I think y'all can come back, nigga. That.
against the Magic, I think we could, but again, that depends on what level of Cade we're getting. If
Yeah.
Cade is not Cade when he comes back, then we're down 1-3, and I'm not, after that, that's
Mhm.
just kind of a wrap.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not. To me, this team doesn't have a lot that makes me feel like they would are going to do well in the playoffs without Cade.
Yeah,
There's of
let's hear
course
it.
always, we've seen it with the like, what was it, the We Believe Warriors, and there's instances over the years. I think it was also like David Robinson, not David Robinson, Patrick Ewing for the Knicks. He got injured and his team still made it to the finals. So like there's these instances throughout NBA history. I just don't think this team is that. So we need Cade to win a series. That's just point blank, period.
Yeah, he's your Bron. He's your Bron. Going back to the West Coast, another team has been relatively pretty hot, and obviously you guys stopped their streak the other night. I'm talking about the Los Angeles Lakers. Before their loss to the Detroit Pistons, were on a 9-game winning streak, and they skyrocketed to the number three seed in the Western Conference, obviously largely due to the Don himself, Luka Doncic, playing at an offensive masterclass, mastermind level. Even had a 60 piece in his in that 9 game win streak as well too. And I believe for the month of March, 34 points, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists, and showcase that clutch gene. But my question for you, man, it looks like the Lakers are kind of finding this stride, obviously, with Luka Doncic. He only played less than half of the games because of the trade. They somewhat retooled a little bit this year. Do you think, them being in the three seed right now, you think they can make a legitimate run for a deep playoff run? Because it's been a minute. It's been a minute since they had a deep playoff run, the Lakers.
Yeah, deep, I guess, would be what, to the conference finals?
I say conference finals, yeah.
If they're the three seed, they
They,
would, no, I don't think so, because then they're going to play the two. And the two is going to be more than likely it's going to be San Antonio, but it could potentially be OKC, and that is tough. So I don't see them making to the conference finals. I guess think they can make it to the second round for sure.
yeah.
Whoever they play, in that first round, I think they'll have a decided advantage. But I will say this: Luca playing at this level makes them very, very dangerous. Makes them one of the most dangerous teams in the league. That is 100% because we've seen him do it in the playoffs before.
We've
And
seen him go twice to the Western Conference Finals. He lost to Golden State one year, and then he got to the actual finals one year as well too. So he's proven he can do it.
yeah, yeah. But I just think those other two teams are, in terms of like who they would have to play in order to make it to the conference finals, between OKC and San Antonio, are just, I think they have someone on the other end who can match them. Like offensively, of course, Wemby, like we were just saying, is not gonna do, 35 or something like that. But I don't think that their offense is gonna be nearly as good playing against the best defensive team. And then OKC is probably the next best defensive team. But then they also have Shea, who is someone who can potentially go toe to toe with Luca. And then Austin
Hmm.
Reeves is just a defensive liability as well. So I like them. I think they're a good team. I think that if they were able to have if honestly, if it was in a year where the top two in the West weren't so strong, I think they would have a chance to get to the finals. But I
Yeah,
think that these two teams right now are just like head and shoulders above.
yeah. So outside of the 1 and 2 seed, just looking at you know if there's like a hypothetical upset, you think they can beat Denver, Minnesota, and Houston? No question.
Houston, absolutely. Houston is terrible. Um, and also Ime Udoka is really not looking like the best coach anymore. But Minnesota, I think they could definitely beat Minnesota. And I want to say they could beat Denver, but Denver has had the Lakers number in the playoffs the last several
Postseason
years for
too.
whatever reason. That Jamal Murray decides he wants to be the most clutch player and Jokic wants to go crazy. So I cannot. It's crazy when you're talking about the regular season, but this happens in the postseason when it matters. We've seen it countless times. Just like for whatever reason, the Lakers cannot beat the Nuggets. So I'm not going to say that they can do it.
Obviously, it's different with no Anthony Davis there, like you said. But yeah, I think they can definitely. I still like. I know Denver's hasn't played up to what we thought they were going to be with the acquisitions that they, went out and got in the off season. But I still have them as my third favorite team right now. But like you said, Luca's so great. I've seen on his Bron-esque mode what he can do when he works with less. But I just don't think that this team is built for him yet to make a deep playoff run. With him, you already said Austin Reeves was a defensive liability. He's also a defensive liability as well too. And then you got LeBron James, who's 41 now. Has taken it obviously from an athletic standpoint a step back defensively. They just have a couple flaws I see, man. They lack shooting. and they lack defense, but offensively they can score with the best of all of them as well too. You have three. The game is slowed down in playoffs, and you have three guys who are built for half court offense. So there's no doubt in my mind they're going to get an efficient look every possession. But like Wemby said, half of the game is defense, and I just don't see them, especially if they advance further on to the playoffs, having the ability to get stops when it matters the most. But I mean, it might be scary if it is close. But like I said, in 7 games, though, I don't really know. I don't really know. So yeah, unless it's a situation where we just lose to them in the second round because of our lack of experience or something, which I don't see happening, but you never know. Um, yeah, I see them. I mean, I see them getting bounced out, popped in the second round, and it's no fault on them. They just gotta wait till Brian leave and use all that cap money to actually build around Luka. So
So,
it is what it is. Jalen Williams, Carl Conyers finally returned, man. This Negro only played 27 games, obviously because of his wrist and also hamstring strain, which is low key. It's worse to have than a sprained ankle. But he came back the other night, 16 game absence, racked up 18 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, and only 20 minutes of action. And they beat the 76ers, shot 57% from the field. And obviously, his return help extend the Thunder's winning streak to 12 games. So another hot team, obviously. But man, obviously, when you play a lesser team, you tend to be more efficient. So I'm curious to see what that's going to look like down the stretch. But they've been, like you told me before, when you originally got hurt, they had a better record without him. So they're going to be just fine, I think. Like I said, he looked the lead, looked like he had a rhythm in those limited minutes. Um, I'm just wondering. I want to ask you, like, with him back, is it just wraps? How we kind of thought about the Celtics, obviously before their little debacle or whatever. Do you think it's a foregone conclusion they going to repeat?
I don't think it's a foregone conclusion because I do think that the Spurs are, I mean, I think they're a matchup problem. That is something that I do think we've learned from their regular season matchups is they are a matchup problem for them. So, of course, the inexperience thing can kick in. Um, so I think that's of course the advantage for OKC, but I don't think it's a foregone conclusion because also we need to see how he's going to look reintegrating. I think that, it's one of those things like, yeah, they've had a better record without him, but they're clearly, of course, a better team with him. Like I'm not going to try and, discount someone who made All NBA last year. But I do think they're going to have a little bit of a period of trying to, adjust back because a lot of different players have been stepping up in that
Yeah.
void.
Jared McCain, Isaiah Joe, yeah,
Yeah, AJ Mitchell. So, and they've actually been really injured this year, which is crazy
yeah.
considering that they're still the best seed in the league. But so I think that's something that, hopefully they are fully healthy right now for the most part. I'm pretty sure. So they kind of have this last little bit of the regular season to try and figure stuff out. Um, but yeah, I think also Boston is going to be a problem. They, of course, have a similar issue making, getting everybody on the same page with Tatum coming back, but uh, I don't think that it's a foregone conclusion that whoever makes it out of the West, because I think Boston's probably going to make it out of the East. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that they'll be able to just beat Boston.
Mm. Yeah, I will say that as well too. Like we said in our earlier topic, like regular season doesn't necessarily mean anything, but you can pull a little bit of data from it. And like you said, I do think that we do present a tough matchup for them, because we have the wings to counter their wings, and then we have the anti-equation in Wemby, who makes Chet look like a baby, which is crazy. So I think we kind of have that. The only thing I'm really worried about is I just want to see how we battle adversity in a 7 game series, see how Wemby's body actually holds up within a 7 game series. So I think it'll be a year, kind of like you said earlier with OKC when they were, If Shea doesn't foul PJ Washington and they went off of free throws, we're having a whole other conversation. But I think it's going to be one of those years where we're going to have to just learn from failure, and then we're going to skyrocket the next year. But I think whoever comes out the West going to win the chip low key. So um, I like the Celtics, bro, but I just I just have to see what Jason Tatum looks like, um, especially when he's about to be handed like playoff based minutes. Because I mean, he's obviously eye test. He's looking relatively pretty well in all aspects. But one thing that hasn't really been a thing for him right now is his shooting. So I'm curious to see what that's going to look like. But at the end of the day, I mean, his defense still looks above average. He's been playing more of a point forward based position. He still commands respect from the top defenders in the league. He's going to get his players involved. He's a great rebounder. But I want to see what the Boston Celtics new rotational pieces compared to last year look like in the playoffs as well too. Because I think we should rate Boston as a favorite, but the Knicks did pop them last year too. So something about me hasn't quite lost faith in the New York Knicks. But yeah, it would be smart to put your money on Boston Celtics right now. But some tell me the Knicks might be on to something. I remember earlier I was talking about the Cavs, man. They about to. I don't believe in the Cavs. So I think it's just gonna be Knicks and Boston, because like you said, y'all don't have enough. So yeah, those are probably my two teams in the Eastern Conference right now. But I think the West is gonna win it all.
Yeah.
Um, it's crazy, man. I just got new information which I'm gonna address, but the Bucks did release Cam Thomas to essentially create a roster spot to convert forward Pete Nance from a two-way contract to a standard multi-year NBA deal. Essentially, Nance emerged as a valuable rotational piece according to Doc Rivers, and yeah, Thomas' role essentially diminished significantly, resulting in several DNPs, which I also noticed. Um, and then that led up to his release. So I was saying, oh man, you guys should go ahead and get him. I was about to text you that. I was about to text you that. But I realized that there's a playoff ineligibility because he was waived after the March 1st deadline, which
Yeah.
makes him ineligible to play for the 2026 NBA playoffs for any team that picks him up, which is some bullshit. And yeah, I mean, he started off so hot. I remember he had that 34 point debut. And ever since then, they just kept limiting his minutes and his role whenever he played within those limited minutes as well, too. So it just had me thinking, like, damn, like you went from getting offered some money to betting on yourself to now you're not even on a team, and we don't know what's going to happen moving forward. But you know, I think he still has the capabilities to be a rotational piece. Like I feel like that's a clear eye test, and even with the numbers with his production, when he has the chance to showcase his talent. But what are your thoughts on this release? And do you think he is going to be a 1 year nigga, or you think he's going to eventually find a way to a team and have somewhat stability?
I mean, one, yeah, I'll just say this sucks for him. I hate to see it. It reminded me, crazy enough, of Dennis Schroeder, in a different way of just like when you bet on yourself and it goes wrong. Um, because I remember, I think it was like the Lakers who, either Lakers or the Celtics, but I think it was the Lakers who were about to offer him like a 3 or 4 year deal, and he was like, "No, I deserve more money than that." And then he was on 1 year deals for like the next 4 or 5 years before he just got a multi-year deal, I'm pretty sure. But the thing is, at least for him, because I was actually looking at this earlier, Schroeder had already gotten a $70 million extension when he was still with the Hawks. So he at least had already gotten a bag before he kind of self-sabotaged himself. Cam Thomas has not gotten any type of bag yet. So I don't know who's on his management team, but the Nets offered him like 2 years, $30 million. You're like 24, bro. You should have taken that and you still have plenty of time. That means you're 26 when you're coming off that deal. You still have potentially enough time to get two more big deals if things go right. But at least you know you locked in this $30 million versus coming back on a restricted free agent deal, basically. And now you've been cut twice in the same year. And to be honest with you, I think that his NBA career is in jeopardy. I've looked back and it's like there's a lot of talented scoring guards who I've seen where I was like, oh, I'm watching them 1 year and then the next year they're just not in the league. and it happens a
Mm.
lot. To be fair, it's like there, of course, I don't think there's a lot of guys who can score at his level, but there's a lot of guys who can score and who are better teammates. And I say that to say it seems like there might be something else going on than just the court stuff as well. Because there's also been a lot of things of, and I don't want to put all my stock into this, but a lot of times when he was with the Nets and things weren't going his way, you could see the rest of the team celebrating and he was kind of off pouting by himself and other things like that. So, um, the league is really quick to, forget somebody. There's always gonna be another person who can come in who can, if not
Do
do
what you do.
exactly what you do something similar to it where we're willing to, bet more on them than you. So, um, the only thing he can do right now is sign with a bad team who's not
Yeah,
going to make the playoffs anyway. But I just don't think that that's going to happen. I think at this point he's just going to be waiting until the, off season and hopefully finding somebody. And I also, though, I don't think it's going to be a good team that tries to pick him up. I think it's probably going to be a real rebuilding team, which
rebuilding
isn't, of
team.
course,
Yeah.
the worst because you get more of an opportunity, but you still have not been in a place where you can show you can play winning basketball. And I think that's the thing. Like at this point, people know you can score, they know you can get buckets, but we want to see you actually contribute to winning on a basketball team. And that's just not something he's had the opportunity to do his entire career. So. It sucks. I wanted him on the Pistons. I think he would have been good, especially in this situation where we're missing, Cade and we just need another scorer. But especially right now with the way that, everybody's switch hunting and stuff like that, he does get picked on defense. And if his shot isn't falling, which I think is tied to his confidence, which I think is in a bad place right now,
Mm, good point.
it's just not great. So, I hope for the best for him, but I do think his career, unfortunately, is at a crossroads right now.
Yeah. So Paul George, playoff PG-13, whatever you want to call him, PGA now. He is officially off the off the cuffs, man.
PED
He,
13.
you said what?
PED 13.
PED 13, my boy. So he's officially off of his suspension. Uh, During his absence, the Philadelphia 76ers were 13-12, which was pretty shocking. Because obviously we talked about Joel Embiid being out with his oblique. He's been upgraded to questionable for tomorrow as well. Obviously Tyrese Maxey, I think it's been 2 weeks since he got hurt, so he's going to be reevaluated around this time next week. But yeah, man, he said he's in a much better place. He said physically, taking that time away because he had persistent knee issues as well too. Obviously, Paul George is returning for a critical 10-game stretch. The 76ers right now at 39-33 and sit in the seventh place and just 1.5 games from being as high as a 5 seed when it's all said and done, man. Do you think with PG and Joel Embiid coming back and knowing that Tyrese Maxey's on the way, this team can actually make the playoffs exciting for themselves and for that organization?
I don't know, man. This Sixer team is just one. They're just so damn injured. Like you're already when you're starting off with Joel Embiid and Paul George, and then he has a suspension. You're already a super injured team, and then now Maxey, your only durable guy, he's out for a minute too with the hand thing. So. I just don't have any faith in them. I mean, they're one of those teams where you can say, like, if everything goes right, if they are fully healthy, they do actually have a really high ceiling because Joel Embiid, we've seen it this year, like when he was, when he had been playing a couple games in a row, like he looked really, really good. Paul George is definitely not the player he was before he got to Philadelphia, but he still is a decent enough, like, 3 and D type guy, and he can, off the dribble, all that other type of stuff. And Maxey has been consistently probably their best player this year. Edgecombe, if it wasn't, if this was last year, Edgecombe is the clear rookie of the year. Like in a lot of other classes, he's going to be the rookie of the year. So he's having a really good year as well. Um, so it's not like they have a bad team overall. I just don't.
Trust their health.
I don't trust their health, and I just don't. I still just don't trust them together. I don't think they've played when they have been healthy, which has been few and far between. But when they have been healthy, I still don't think they've played up to their potential, and I don't believe in all of a sudden now when the playoffs come, you guys are going to play up to your potential.
Mm. Yeah, man, it's gonna be pretty interesting. I didn't even realize they were still winning, which has been a positive for them as well too. Right now, Atlanta is number 6 and Toronto's 5. Um, I think with Embiid and Paul George coming back with what they already have, I think they can get to that 5, 6 seed. But your sweet spot is probably trying to go for that fifth seed so you can go up and match up against Cleveland. Obviously Cleveland is the better team, but getting especially like once Joel Embiid went out with that oblique injury, before that he looked pretty solid with with everything that's going on. I mean, you and I went to one of those games and we saw Maxi. Obviously, he didn't shoot the best, but he's been having a record year. And I know PG is at this point right now where he is okay with being the third option with that depth that they have, a championship level coach. I think they can at least put scare into a team and potentially take a team 7 games. So for the sake of the Eastern Conference, I want them to be fully healthy. I want them to be in the playoffs as well too, because the East has been pretty weak these past couple years. So I just like to see some star power, but I definitely want to see them in the playoffs. Because is this PG's first or second year? I don't even remember anymore. His first year to Philadelphia.
Second year. He was
That's
injured most of last year.
yeah, I don't even. Oh yeah, because he got injured in the preseason. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's crazy. It's been 2 years already. That's wild. Ain't damn. Yeah, man. So yeah, I want to see it all come together finally. So it looks like we're gonna get that. So yeah, we'll see. But I think it's a first round exit. But I think just from an excitement standpoint, and a competitive standpoint, they can give a team a run for their money, especially with Cleveland. Obviously, Cleveland's been pretty solid this year, but they still haven't proven. Like no one outside the Knicks and Boston, to be honest with you, has proven anything these past couple years. So anything can happen, but yeah, I just want to see that big three healthy, man. It's been a minute since I've seen Tyrese Maxey in the playoffs. So obviously, it's Tyrese Maxey's team right now, and to have a second and third option who's still formidable, especially in the Eastern Conference, I think they can do some damage. We'll see. But like you said, it's really kind of hard to bet on health, and like you said a couple episodes ago, they just suck at getting talent and keeping them healthy. So that sucks. Your GOAT, Steph Curry, has been out indefinitely. Speaking of runner's knee, had runner's knee and bone bruising in his right knee. He's missed the last 22 games, man. Golden State is looking from the outside in. I mean, they're essentially still in play in contention regardless because the
They're gonna
Pelicans are officially eliminated.
yeah,
So
they're
they're in
gonna
the play-in.
qualify.
He hasn't been ruled to come back yet, but he's in the next step to coming back. So yeah, they basically said he's going to be reevaluated later this week. And then they're going to plan for him to scrimmage in Atlanta. And if he doesn't have any step backs, he may play. My question for you is, knowing that the season's over, knowing that you guys have your draft pick this year, is it even worth coming back to play at all?
I mean, I think that they said that he more than likely, if he were to come back, it would be for the play-in. I don't think he's going to play in the regular season, which I'm here for. Like if it's just one game and they could potentially, well, because then if they're not going to finish higher than the 9, so they would have to play 2 games in order to make it in. But um, I'm a fan. At the end of the day, I want to see Steph Curry play as much as I can, especially because we're nearing the end of his career. So I would not be mad. I don't think that those 1 or 2 games is going to be, especially when we're about to be at the off season. I don't think that he's in jeopardy. I don't think. I'm not a doctor, so. But I don't think that that's going to be, something that puts him in jeopardy of, some serious, crazy, major injury. So I'm like, if he's healthy, then I would hope for him to go out there and play. And like, I know there's a lot of fans who've been wanting to see him play. He's missed a lot of time this year. And again, like I said, like we don't know how much time we have left with Steph. And I love watching him play. So I think it would be great for him to come back. Regardless, they're pretty locked into where they are. So I don't think him, again, like I said, it doesn't look like he's going to come back. in the regular season. If he does, it might be 1 or 2 games, So it's like I don't think they're in jeopardy of adjusting where they're gonna fall in the lottery or anything like that anyway.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, what's the harm?
Yeah. Damn. Excuse
Bless you.
me. It's crazy. Thank you. It's crazy. Like I remember when the season started, we were talking about like pressure with teams who you're looking forward to, and then you're just talking about pressure with Golden State in the sense of like the level of urgency, knowing the limited amount of time that Steph has left. And it's like, damn, I'll trade for Jimmy Butler. He probably ain't gonna be back till midway or probably around this time next year. And I think Moody just got carted off the other day. So
Moody's done
I'm just
for a
like, damn,
while.
son, man, go ahead and trade Miss Steph. But I think he's gonna be a Golden State for life for like Dirk and like Tim and like Kobe. But I'm just like, you still got a lot left in the tank. I think he has at least with how he's played this year prior to his injury. I think he can play like this for 2, 3 more years. But just like, damn, you don't want him playing for nothing. But I agree with you. From an excitement standpoint, legacy standpoint, what he brings to the game, you definitely want him to kind of play. And low key, I mean, the playing looks a little lit. You know what I'm saying? You got Danny, who's been having a pretty damn good year. So I like to see that matchup in one game, and then you got Devin Booker. And I think Dylan Brooks should be back by then, going up against Kawhi, who's arguably had, from a statistical standpoint, one of his best seasons. And in the Eastern Conference, we've been fucking waiting on LaMelo Ball and the Charlotte Hornets to finally fucking win. And they've been playing relatively pretty well post All-Star break. So I would love to see them go up against Mr. 83-point Bam Adebayo. And then you also got Philly going up against Orlando, with Philly keep rotational pieces being healthy by then. So it should be a good plan going into the playoffs for sure. But yeah, I agree with you. I want Steph to play. If you can play, go play, brother.
Yeah.
Any closing remarks?
Uh, no, man. Excited for these playoffs to get going and see how it's about to shake out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I ain't gonna give no predictions with nothing yet. So stay tuned for that, and I guess stay tuned for our regular season awards and all NBA, all that good stuff as well too. Ladies and gentlemen, that was episode 176 of the Season Show. Make sure to subscribe on all forms of social media at the Season Show at Carl Conyers at Sir Seezus. We